think it's somebody you'll be successful.
Okay, so it's going. It should be good there. Okay. I will be just with Miss Wendell, so I'll come right after the block is over.
That sounds fine.
And grab it.
How's it going, Tim? Do you have something to write with?
Sorry.
Okay. Make sure as you come in that you're with me, Sam. So just come sit in one of these seats. Make sure you have something to write with and that it's sharp before we even get started. You're here, right? Do you have something to write with? Good. Rania, you're good? Ken, you got something to write with? Good.
You're right. There was a schedule with you.
Greg, you're with me. You're up here in this group. You can come sit right here in front of Rania. Is it your birthday? Do you have something to write with?
Nope. Right here. You're in this group. You're in over here.
Don't mind that.
No, this is not your class.
They're not. I don't know who's sitting there. Dale's sitting there. Okay. So
Oh,
you're up
sorry.
there.
No, I have him switched since he's going to be coming in a little bit later. So
Okay. So is that Dale's hat?
Probably.
Okay. So you can sit behind there, Greg.
So find your.
Do you have something to write with, though, Greg?
Huh?
Do you have something to write with? How about you take out the earbuds so you can hear me? Like you can't see it?
No, it's just now like
It's just like tripping you out. Do you want to switch with Sam? Okay.
Naya, you're in this group, I believe. Yep. So you're working independently. There's 3 spots open right there.
Jenny, you guys have
We're
something to
in
write with?
stations. Switch around.
Yeah, you have something to write with?
Look,
Hey, you want Dale?
that's why I'm back here. I'm not going. Yeah. Yeah. What's up, man? What's up, Dale? What's up, Dale?
He's got a utensil, so you're ready.
Mr. Johnson's going to explain it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get
Can I share my pencil?
started. So,
Do you want to use mine?
as you can see, so once class is
Yeah,
started, that
that's
means devices away. And actually, please put those in a bag or on your desk. We won't use, the only group that will be using devices is this pod over here. And actually, you don't have to, and this will be shocking to you. First off, did you guys even know we had a textbook for this class?
Yeah.
So you did. All right. The purple book underneath your desk. This pod or station, you guys might use it. But for, let me explain what we're doing a little bit today. Thanks. We are working in stations. So that means that you guys will be moving. So you'll start out where you are, and then after about 15 to 20 minutes, will rotate, and you're working on different things in each station. So let's, first off, our learning target for everybody is up on the board in red. Adam, could you read it for us nice and loud? The learning target in red. On the left-hand side.
What were the impacts of major battles and weapons in World War II?
Great. That's what everybody's working on somewhat. This group over here, you guys, you're focusing on the impacts of Blitzkrieg and Pearl Harbor. And you're using these little books, and you'll follow the directions on that first page. So then you guys are working on impacts of Pearl Harbor and the atomic bomb, and you're working through this page, and you can use either the link at the top or your textbook to answer those. I'll go through it, and then I'll take your question. Over here is working with Ms. Steeler on, you're going to cover the entire war, beginning to end, in Europe, and you're focused especially on the impacts of Stalingrad and D-Day. Okay? So station teaching, that means you're going to be getting up, moving. This group you're working with partners. This side you're working independently. This side you're working with Miss Steeler. So,
Happy birthday.
First off, what kind of things do we need to have happen to make this work well? What kind of behaviors do we have to have it work well? Yeah, pay attention to what you're doing. So let me give you a hint. Miss Steeler is going to be trying to talk to this group of 8 up here. So what do the rest of us have to do?
Be on task.
Well, especially going to have to be very
Don't talk about quiet.
It's going to have to be very quiet. Like, you guys can, of course, talk together because you're supposed to be working as a team, as a partnership, okay? You guys can be working independently. And I need a question answered.
It's been a long day.
You have questions? Alright, so now what I need though is I need a timer from each pod. So who wants to use a device to be a timer for up here?
Julio.
Alright, Julio's gonna be a timer. Somebody over here want to be a timer? Alright, Jimmy, Amber. Go ahead and give me 15 minutes on your timer.
Okay, you need to put 15 minutes on the
Put
timer.
15 minutes up on the timer and let me know when you're ready. And you follow the directions very closely on your papers there.
What? Because you've already done this. Well, it's always good. Well, yeah, and so, yeah, it'll be good.
All right, so
15
get
minutes.
those timers ready.
Don't press go
Set,
yet.
and you can start the timers. Start the timers.
Okay, you guys ready? Okay, so make sure you've got your paper out. Put away your other stuff, Dale. Get your paper out. Can you hear me when you're singing? Okay, no more singing. Okay, so this map, it starts us right at, like this is the interwar period. This is actually even before Hitler has become chancellor. And so we see those lands that were created out of Germany and Russia and the other things after World War I. What?
Question.
Yes.
Can I finish listening to my mom?
No, no. We're working on this work right now. So, thank you. Thank you for being so respectful. Okay, so here we've got Italy, Germany, France, Great Britain, and you see Russia off to the right. So here, this is when Germany becomes a Nazi country. The Nazis take over, and you can see Eastern Prussia. So Germany's got its main area, and then the spot off to the east. This area that's yellow, right next to Germany, that's still part of Germany, but that's the part that they were told they couldn't have military. What was that area called? Do you guys remember? Good. It's Rhineland. And so when it's the Rhineland. So when Hitler decides that he's going to tank the Treaty of Versailles, he's not going to follow it anymore, and so he quits paying the money, and he's going to start taking land. The first land he takes is he's like, we're sending our troops into the Rhineland.
Oh, sorry.
And so that's the first area they go. Now, we know he's going to keep going forward. What's the next area that he goes to?
Goes to theater,
Which one is it? Ken's point. This one? Seaward. Seaward is third. Austria is next. He comes in and he takes over Austria. Then it's the seaward. But he doesn't do all of it yet.
So if
He does the edges.
that
What
just
is-
means
what are those
the fighting
edges
that happened
called?
in Africa, land or sea, or land, air, and
It's
sea.
called
It's called.
Sudetenland. Okay?
What?
Sudetenland. Sudetenland. Girl, right over here.
That sounds awkward.
Sudetenland. That's what happens right there. And then that's when they have the Munich Pact. And Munich is right here. And France and Great Britain come talk to Germany and they're like, hey man, you gotta quit taking over your neighbor's land. That's not good. And so Germany says, fine, we will stop, but
Problem
first,
third with this webpage, so it's
what do we want? What do they want?
That's not good.
This is where they're like, we want the rest of Czechoslovakia. What is it called when those countries say, okay, fine, take Czechoslovakia, but then stop? That's called appeasement.
So you can.
So that's the appeasement part where they're like, okay, fine, you can take Czechoslovakia, but now you're done. Okay, so here, World War II still has not started officially. No one is fighting back. So, and look how much Germany has already taken. Where are they gonna go next?
I have a question.
Yes,
Is that Hungary?
why is your device on?
Didn't Austria fall after World War I?
Austria-Hungary had
So
been
it's
an
like,
empire, and they split up. So here you can see that there's Austria, and there's
I'll get
Hungary,
it. I
and
know how to
there's
get
these
to it
other
for you.
countries.
You can start.
So yeah, you're right, so they were made into separate countries. Where do you think Germany's going to go next? They still Poland. There's still land over here that had belonged to them that was taken in the Treaty of Versailles. But what's the problem?
It's too close to Russia.
It's so close to Russia. So they make a deal with Russia, fine. You can have half, we'll have half. And so they fight, and well, here Italy starts fighting down here. Remember, Italy's also fascist. And then they take Poland. This is actually a really big fight. Poland fights hard. And then Russia takes over here. This is when the war officially starts. Once this happens, then France and Britain are like, oh man, maybe we should get involved. And this is September of 1939. Okay. Italy takes Hungary and Romania. France is looking around and they're like, oh crud, what's going on? Like, we've seen this before. We have seen them get aggressive before, and so they start building up their forces along here. And Great Britain helps them. But before Germany heads that direction, they start to head north. Why do you think they go up north? Like, this is kind of really way out of the way, right? Is the sound bothering you?
No, I like it.
It's okay?
Yes.
Why did they go north? This is way up there, out of the way. Is this going to help them get the rest of the continent?
Probably because they didn't want to run right into that.
So there's something in the North Sea that they need. It's oil. Why are they going to need oil? To run the tanks, to run the airplanes, to run the jeeps. So they need this area up here. And so that's why they take it. So now they have access to resources, because down in Germany, they don't have those resources. And so now they've got resources that they can go for. Here, it looks similar to the Schlieffen Plan, right?
It's also,
still coming
this
up
group
through here.
talks about it as the Mediterranean.
They break through the Germans, or through the French lines, and then
Some of
look
the
how
other links
quickly
will
France
I'll
falls.
see if it works.
France fell really quickly. And so France still, they have about a third of their country, a little bit more than that. So then you see their airplanes, and they go over, and airplanes are really, really important during World War II.
Yep,
During World War I, they started to show up, but they were used more for like spying and reconnaissance. Here, they use them for battle. And so this is what, oops, I didn't mean to press that. Okay, and so this is really important just because, you know, you've got this water here, so Germany's able to jump over that to get there. You see all of this going on down in the south. You like the sound you said? Okay. Just you can see how much they expand. So Hitler's goal was a global empire. And so now they had this agreement with Russia. They've just broken that agreement. And now they're heading over into Russia. And they make it pretty far, pretty fast.
Are you doing that?
I'm pressing a button. And so I didn't create this map. Someone else created it. Yeah. The map makes it sound. So up here, this is where it becomes really important. So this first battle that we're going to talk about, the Battle of Stalingrad. So Stalingrad is a city in Russia.
Who else?
And it's actually
Germany and Great Britain.
down here.
Who's
This is
Mr. from?
the Volga. I'm getting it wrong. I'm pretty sure this is the Volga River right there, and it's down in that area. And Stalingrad is named after Joseph Stalin.
Outside of Germany,
He was
Italy,
the
or Japan.
leader of Russia at the time. And so,
Yeah, so
yes.
along with Germany, but not Japan.
No, Switzerland remains neutral the whole time. Isn't that kind of crazy?
Yeah.
They're in the middle. So they didn't side with either side. Yeah. And so they come here, and Germany's like, we're going to take over this whole area. And then, so in July of 1942, they're going through and they decide to take Stalingrad. And Hitler was so confident because they moved through so quickly that he diverted some of his troops north and he diverted some of his troops south to get more oil down here. And then he just sends in one unit. He sends in the 6th Army to go in and take Stalingrad. But they get split off from the rest of the army. And when they get split off, then they, the other units try to come in and help them, but they're never able to because the Russian army saw what the Germans were doing, and so they kind of routed them. They brought people in from this side and brought people in from this side, and then they had reinforcements that came from the east. And so that unit is stuck there in Stalingrad. and there are tens of thousands of them who died. And so they started in July. By November, it starts to be a problem. Because what happens in Russia when you get close to November, December, January? Winter. It's like here. Like if you think about the coldest days of winter you've ever felt here in Iowa, Russia gets colder than that. And so these soldiers are facing that. And with the German 6th Army cut off from their supply units, they're not getting food, they're not getting fuel, and so they're starting to starve and they're starting to freeze. And there were thousands of soldiers. Hold on.
That's the big thing. It's quick and they can take over a lot of it.
What time's your iPad, Sir?
Yeah, they
Hey, Dale, can you sit back down?
What's up for my pencil?
Okay, real quick.
We're going through this fast.
Yeah. So in the end, this.
That's probably more
Okay. Here, do you want me to help you, Robbie? Here.
No, yeah.
Can I help you with it, please?
yeah, so maybe you
Uh-huh. So in the end, this unit, they end up surrendering. And so they end up surrendering. And Hitler said, we are never going to surrender. We will not surrender. And so the leader unit, or the unit leader, there he surrenders against Hitler's orders. But his men are freezing and dying. So in February of 1943, they surrendered. And this battle had been huge. Like, before the battle was even civilian-wise, there's been 150,000 people that lived in that city. And at the end of the battle, there were 1,400 left. 1,400 is the number of students, right, about that we have come to this school. So they've gone from 150,000 to 1,400, and that was the civilians. There have been 800,000 German soldiers die in the Battle of Stalingrad. But the biggest thing is that now they've surrendered. So are the Germans going to continue to advance that direction? What do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think they will?
No.
Who surrendered?
Russia.
No, the Germans surrendered. Yeah, the German 6th Army surrendered. So let's see what's going to happen. First, it's going to show us some stuff happening down here in North Africa. Lots of battles.
USA.
Yeah, now the U.S. is involved here, so something must have happened in the Pacific. France is now totally under Nazi control. The Allies, they're fighting the Nazis in North Africa. They start coming up Italy. And there you can see that Russia takes that. And so what the Battle of Stalingrad does is the Germans get pushed back on the Eastern Front, and the Russians gain confidence. And now some of the Germans back in Germany, because this battle, people knew about it, they're like, maybe our army isn't as strong as we thought it was. Okay, so that's the first thing. So on the Battle of Stalingrad, make sure that you can answer these questions.
This isn't the first paragraph.
So where was it fought?
Russia.
In Russia.
I
Russia.
should have
Yep.
put the second full paragraph.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was fought in Russia. Who fought there?
Along with the Germans.
Russians and Germans.
Hey, I have a question.
Yeah.
Did the Spetsnaz exist back then?
What's that?
Spetsnaz.
The what?
I forgot how to
The
pronounce it.
space?
SPET. S.
Well, how did you see? So Japan attacked you.
I don't know what
Was
that
the
is.
U.S. in the war?
Y'all know what it is?
Were they afterwards?
I'll look that up and find out, okay?
Led to U.S.
All right, so the Germans and the Russians fought. Who won the battle? Russia. Russia. That's what's really important about this is Russia won. The Germans surrendered. Okay? Why is this important in the war? Why is this particular battle something we're going to talk about? Why do we talk about this one and not all the tens of others that happened? Tens of others.
He's like, Hitler, like, the one that we lost.
the one that they lost, and remember how far was Germany over here before? And then they start to get pushed back. Okay, so that's why. How much time do we have left? Are we almost done on time?
We got a minute and 10 seconds.
A minute and 10 seconds. Oh, we didn't get to D-Day. We had some distractions. Okay, so we will do more of D-Day the next time. But here, so as it goes along, you can see that the Allies, they start bombing Germany. So this again is how important the airplane was during this time. They're coming up from Italy, and look, the Nazis have taken over Italy. And so Mussolini's not in power anymore. And they continue to bomb. These big airplanes are called flying fortresses, and they had huge bombs in them. The smaller ones are fighter planes, and it was easy to target the flying fortresses because they were so big. You could tell where they were. Now look what happens with Russia. They start to push back. And Germany, even though Russia has been fighting this battle with Germany for 3 years, Germany continues to lose land. Okay, this is what we're going to talk about next if we're not switching. Are we switching soon?
I said add 2 more minutes because we got some time.
Okay, all right. Okay, so what happens here is the Allies, they're like, okay, we see that Russia is taking care of the Eastern Front. We've got to do something about the Western Front. And so all of the Allies group together in one big group. Like the Canadians and the English and the Americans and all, like, they come together and they get 3 million troops.
Like
all
really,
loaded
like
up
if somebody
together,
had never heard
right
of the
here.
atomic
So
bomb,
they get
you
3
were
million
talking
troops.
about the same way.
And they're like, okay, we're gonna
Yeah, see
all
if there's a
go in one big fight together because we've got to get a land over here so that we can send our tanks over and all of our other troops over to Germany. But right now we don't have anywhere to start.
first atomic
And
bomb.
so Germany,
Desert.
they had a lot of forces right here because this
Yeah, you know,
spot
it
right
doesn't
here
actually say.
is the closest
You're supposed
spot
to know.
Great
I mean,
Britain.
and you kind of
And so
know.
they're
You
like,
can start.
oh, we can just come in
Yeah.
right here and we can start the
And
fight.
you can say maybe the power
And
to destroy
so
an entire
they
city.
thought, well, maybe
That
we
puts it
should
in a
start from
scale.
the bottom. But they decided, no, we'll come in here first, and they had 5 beachheads. And they sent in, first they sent in paratroopers. Have you guys heard of paratroopers before? What is a paratrooper? They parachute in, and they went behind the lines. And so that way, they could come in and they could knock out their communications, they could cut their telephone lines, and they could start to find where those machine gun nests were and knock them out. And then they sent in all of these soldiers at these 5 beachheads. And it 4 of the beachheads went all right. But the Battle of Omaha, the Omaha Beach, that one didn't go very well. Within the first 10 minutes, all of the officers, so the leaders of the different units, all of the officers were either killed or wounded in the first 10 minutes.
It's used on.
And so
guys,
that,
atomic
they
bomb
end up winning the battle,
was used in
but it was
Hiroshima,
at
the
a
city of
really,
Hiroshima,
really
the
high
city of
cost.
Liz.
And I want you to see what they win. This is what they win. Just that much.
They split it.
Why is that?
Split
Why was that
They did
sacrifice
not.
like worth it to get that much?
They would. So what it did is splitting it started like a race to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like until you have a footing, you can't fight someone, right? And so that's why that's important. Okay, so go ahead and write down just about D-Day. So who fought at D-Day?
Yeah, they did. Like it was a big deal. It was a big deal.
America, Canada, and the British. And who did they fight against? The Nazis.
Actually, this next unit, Cold War unit, we'll talk a lot about nuclear weapons.
Where did they fight?
Time's up.
France.
Okay, and who won?
They're finishing up the video. So, you guys will rotate. We say
The
we have
Allies, yep.
20 seconds, and you guys will be heading over there.
Watch what happens. I'll just do this
Working
fast.
on this back page.
And we can add more of that information next time. They continue to fight.
German African theater. Theater just means area of the
Germans, the
It's
Canadians.
also in your textbook called
Yeah,
administration.
Americans, Canadians, and British. And then look, and then they're Franco's. So we'll end it right
So
there.
guys, when it's
Okay,
time to
you want to
rotate,
go ahead and go to the next
you
group?
guys
We
will
took a lot of
work on-
land.
Yep, but it was like they had to work really hard to get
All
there.
right, guys, we're gonna rotate. I'll give you about 20 seconds to go to your next station. 20 seconds. Just you take your stuff, your personal stuff, and your papers. Yep. And you'll sit down with a partner over here. So if you had it this way, you'll sit down with a partner.
You can sit right there.
You want Dale? Just want to set all your things over there. Down on the shelf.
Why are we being video recorded?
I don't know.
Lots of things.
Yeah, like it's a long answer.
They want
It's to help
examples.
teachers.
Yeah, it's to help teachers see how you teach when there's more than one teacher in the room.
Yeah, not every class gets to have two
So
teachers.
I'd go right up there. It tells you in the questions.
Is this my whole group? Is that
You should
that over there? Are you over here?
Naya's-
Anaya's over here. Anaya, you're over here. Do you have your worksheet? Bring it on over.
Okay, reset
Yep.
those timers.
Do you want this
Reset
pencil?
those timers.
Oh yeah. No, just bring your worksheet and a pencil.
Reset the timer for what?
All right, reset for.
Are you in my group?
We got enough. We can go 17 minutes.
A bit over here. You're with Anaya?
17, Amber.
Sit over there. If you were with Gisette, you're over there. Do you have a pencil? Good.
All right, timers, ready, set, and go.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about World War II in Europe and kind of front to back. So you need to be on this page. We're going to talk specifically about two battles, but before we do, we're going to get started to see how it started. So here we've got World War II, or Europe before World War II. You see that Germany got those lands that were split out from the Treaty of Versailles, not yet controlled by the Nazis. First thing that happens, Nazis take control. You can see Eastern Prussia up there above Poland, and that's all the land Germany has. The yellow does belong to Germany, but that's not where they are allowed to have troops. What was that area called?
I don't know. Zone.
That's the first area they take, and that area is called the Rhineland. And so then they take that. What's the next area they're going to take?
The suggest or whatever.
Almost. What? Austria. Austria is the next place they take, and then they take part of Czechoslovakia called the Sudetenland. So then it's at this point that France and Great Britain sit down with them and say, hey, you've got to stop that. And what was that called? Did we talk about that in here? I think we
An
did.
agreement?
It was called the Munich Agreement. Yeah, the Munich Pact, the Munich Agreement, Munich Dictate, they called it a couple of different things. And so then with this, they said, fine, we won't take any more neighbors, but we want the rest of Czechoslovakia. And so that was our big example of appeasement. So that's what we need to know from that area. Okay, so then, the war still hasn't started at this point. This is just all set up for the war. Where are they going to go next?
Poland.
Poland, that's right. But they have the problem that they have to split it with Russia, right? Because they don't want to get in a fight with Russia. So Russia agrees. They're like, fine, we'll take the eastern half, you take the western half. And so they make that agreement. First, Italy gets involved down here.
Yeah, this is a little tough.
You can see that going on down there. Do you guys want the sound with this or no?
Yes.
It's got like explosions and stuff.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
okay, it might be too loud right now. Okay, you were outvoted, sorry man. And so here's what
Who else
happens.
besides her?
I saw several. It's okay.
I saw none.
Okay, so here Poland gets split between Russia and Germany. And so now they've broken that agreement they made. And so this is when World War II starts. It's September of 1939, and France and Great Britain, they declare war on Germany. So, now I want you to see how fast they already spread right here, right? So no war had been started until just then. And now you see that Italy spreads into Hungary and Romania. The Nazis start lining up along the border there. The French see that, and the French are like, we've seen this before, we're going to be ready. We don't want to have the same thing happen that happened before. Great Britain is there to support them.
Then it went away.
But Germany doesn't go to France first. First, did you see where they went? They went north. They went up to Denmark. And they continue to go north. They go up to Norway. Why do you think they're going north? What's up there that they need?
Oil?
Oil.
I
The
thought that
north,
was in Africa.
what's that?
Wasn't that in Africa though?
There's Africa down there too, or there's oil down that direction too. But the North Sea is actually one of the biggest reserves of oil. And so they are like, we need oil. What are they going to need oil for?
Tanks.
Tanks? What else?
Now you can't see.
Machine guns won't need oil. No, we don't. This one isn't a trench warfare, but we've got tanks. Airplanes are super important in World War II. Those need fuel, just like your car. Jeeps, they're going to need this. All of this machinery and these vehicles are going to need oil. So now they start heading west. And it's still that same, they're going up through the small countries, just like they did in the Schlieffen Plan with World War I. And they break through the line. And they use that strategy we talked about before, that tactic with blitzkrieg, where they would just plow through really fast. And so we see them break through, and very quickly they take France. Isn't that fast? It's amazing. So then, using airplanes, they're able to go over and attack Britain even without sending their troops in.
It's oil field.
All right, let's see where it's going now. Okay. They start heading further south, and you can just see the magnitude of what they're taking. And then they start heading into, they break that agreement with Russia, and they head into Russia. So this is where we're going to get to that first battle on your page where it says the Battle of Stalingrad. So Stalingrad is a city in Russia. It's named after Joseph Stalin, who was their leader at the time. And at first when they headed in, so it's going to be right here where it says Battle of Stalingrad. And so when they headed into there at first they had sent in a large battalion to one area, but then Hitler got very confident and he said, we're doing really well. So he split it up and he sent some of it north and he sent some of it south because there were more oil fields going down south towards the Black Sea. And then he only sent in the 6th Army into Stalingrad. And he said, we're going to take it pretty quickly. He was very confident. He said, the Russians are done. But what happened is that the Russians got reinforcements from the east. And so when that happened, those reinforcements, they knew, they had good intelligence. And they knew from information they'd gotten, and they knew where the Germans were going, and so they cut them off. And so where the Germans had some going up north, and some going south, and then this area that was going into Stalingrad, the Russians came in and cut them off right here. And so then they surround that group there in Stalingrad. And so they started the battle in July. This, by November, they're totally cut off, and the German military can't get that unit out. What's going to happen come that season of the year? Like November, we're heading into winter, right? What is winter going to be like in this area?
Cold.
Cold. Colder than it gets here in Iowa. And this is back in 1940s, early 1940s. And so they don't have all the stuff that we have, and they're out there in the elements fighting. And the German military wasn't able to send in supplies or allies. And so the German soldiers are dying and freezing. They're starving and freezing. And even at the same time, when Russia was sending their troops in, Stalin was brutal, so he would force his troops to go in, and in a fascist government, they're worried about, or a totalitarian government, they're worried about their nation, not about individuals. So thousands, tens of thousands of soldiers on each side, that hundreds of thousands of soldiers. By February, very end of January, the leader, the German leader of the 6th Army, he surrenders. Do you think that Hitler wanted him to surrender?
No.
No, absolutely not. In fact, they would boast back here in Germany, our soldiers would rather die than surrender. You hope that they can shoot themselves before they would surrender. But he surrendered because the conditions were so bad. And so,
let me guess, they were executed on.
no, Hitler never went out there.
See if
No,
that's better.
but what happened is 91,000 soldiers were taken as POWs, so 800,000 Germans had died. 91,000 are taken as POWs, 86,000 of them died. And
No, I
so,
mean, if they win
Mussolini.
that the POWs were, and they weren't even allowed to go back until 1955. This is 1943, and for 12 years, they're kept as prisoners. So 86,000 of them are killed in their camps over this direction. 5,000 of them go back, but they don't get to go back for 12 years. But what this does is this is the first time that the Nazis surrender. They have never surrendered in a battle before this. They surrender now. What is that going to do to the Russian military?
It's gonna make them it's gonna make them feel really, really good about themselves.
It's going to build their confidence, and it does just the exact opposite for the German military. And so we're going to see all this happening down here with North Africa. We're not going to focus on that today. You see that France gets taken by the rest of France gets taken. But keep looking over there at Russia. The Allies start heading up, and there you see that very quickly the Russian line pushes west. Okay, so the Russian line has started to push west. They have strong forces. Their technology is much better in this war than it was in World War I, and their leader is much more forceful. And so the Germans never push back east again on this one. Okay, so now the Allies on this side, they need to do something to get into Germany to get to Hitler. The Russians have been fighting for 3 years without a rest. They need like kind of a diversion. And so they had talked about, well, maybe we should come out from the south. What's the problem if they're trying to get to Germany from the south?
Think about World War I.
What's that?
Crazy slow, right? They're stuck in those.
I know, they've got like all this land to go through, and there's a lot of mountains right through here, so it's not going to be easy going. So they have all this space to go through. What's the problem going to be if they try to come this direction, do you think? What's that? The Netherlands and Germany, they've reinforced this area a lot. Like we saw that they were bombing Britain from this area. They've totally reinforced the beaches, especially right here, because that's the closest point. And so they're like, you're not coming through. And so they put all sort of like seawall, like all sorts of things up to keep enemies from coming across. But the Allies decide we have to do something, and so the Allies come together in a huge group. They get 3 million soldiers over here getting ready to fight. And they put the American General Dwight Eisenhower in charge, and they start practicing, and he decides we are going to go in and we're going to engage with Germany on June. He decided June 5th, but then it was too rainy, so they went on June 6th of 1944. And so they had 5 beaches along here that they were going to attack at. And so the British would take 2, the Canadians took 1, and the Americans took 2. The ones that the Americans took were Utah and Omaha. Now, Utah Beach they were able to take. These other ones, they got taken. Omaha Beach ended up being really, really difficult. In the first 10 minutes of coming onto the beach, all of the officers were either killed or wounded in the first 10 minutes. And so this was just a huge battle. It was really, really hard to take. And then, but by the time they take it, here, let's go through this and show what happened. Okay, so here we've got a few more things it's going to do on the map. First, they're bombing Germany. Russia pushes back more. Okay, so here, when they start this battle, before they even send in the soldiers, what did you see that they just sent in right there?
Air Forces?
Yeah, they send in the paratroopers. And paratroopers are valuable because if this is the enemy line, the airplanes can drop them behind the enemy line, and then they can, I mean, especially back then, like, they had, like, regular, like, telephone lines. They could cut the communications lines. They could try to figure out where the gun hideouts were to try and take those out so that when their soldiers come in on the base, they'll have a little more help. Those soldiers, because of the anti-aircraft fire, a lot of these paratroopers ended up being dropped in the wrong spot, or they died, and so it was really a brutal place to be dropped in. But so then, at the end of the battle, so after all of this fighting and thousands of soldiers dying, you see how much land they took? It's really a small piece of land. Why would that be important, though? Even though it's that small, was it worth the sacrifice? Why would it be worth that sacrifice? Like thousands and thousands of Allied soldiers died. Why? Yeah, so they've got a foothold. Like before this, there was no way they could even get started. But now they've got a foothold, and from that spot, they can now launch further attacks into, like, now they still have to fight the Nazis in France, but eventually they can push through to Germany. So on your paper, let's talk about the two battles that we talked about right there. So, Battle of Stalingrad. Where was it fought? Battle of Stalingrad?
In Russia?
In Russia. Battle of Stalingrad is in Russia. Who fought at the Battle of Stalingrad? Germany and? Germany and Russia. Yeah, those are, we don't have any of the other allies there, just Germany and Russia. Who won the battle?
Russia.
Russia. Remember, Germany had been pushing out, and then after that battle, Germany starts getting pushed back this way. They're no longer expanding. Okay? So why is the Battle of Stalingrad important?
So it's a surprise attack, right?
Germany got defeated, they surrendered, and it starts their decline. Because before that, like, it looked like they really might be able to create a global empire. And now they're like, no, because they're going to go into decline. Robbie, are you going to write any of it down?
Well, you can just use it.
Why was it important? So it started, it pushed the Germans back. They no longer went further east.
Amber, we got the time.
Okay. So now D-Day. D-Day or Battle of Normandy. Who fought there?
U.S. and Canada?
U.S., Canada, Britain.
Lots of time. Let's
Against
do
who?
two more.
Nazis.
Germany? Okay.
Where
Where was it fought?
Sure. So the name of countries are in right, all caps.
France.
Right?
Yep, it's
And
fought in France.
Black lines, he says, is the German case.
Who won that battle?
The Allies.
The Allied forces. Yep. Yep. So those three. Great Britain, America, and Canada. Why is this battle important? Gabby told us before.
Who?
You know, right there. We've only been in class together. Why is this battle important?
What?
Why is D-Day important? Why is the Battle of Normandy important?
Because they had a foot.
Now they have a foothold in Europe.
That's one reason why we mix it up. Is I want you to
Foothold. That means it's like if you're gonna have a fight and you're standing on something wobbly, someone can beat you pretty easily, right? Where if you're on solid ground, you're gonna fight a lot better.
Actually,
They have a foothold. Foothold. Their feet are solid. They've got somewhere to fight from.
you're thinking what happened?
Okay, now I'm just gonna show you where the map is from here.
Japanese had sunk or damaged 19 ships.
Okay, do you want to see where the map goes?
More than 2,000
So more airplanes, so important in World War II. You can see Italy, down in Italy, it's declining.
We'll just spend a couple more minutes here. And then
We're pretty close. Like, I'm just showing them the end of the map. And now you can see that where they got in, they start pushing the Nazis back. Russia pushes them all the way back to where, now Russia's like, okay, you're almost to where we needed you to be, yeah? So, remember, Poland was September of 1939. D-Day was June 6th of 1944. So it's almost 5 years, and it's just a little over 5 years that it goes on. And so then they gradually, and then you see all of this start heading into decline. And they're just pushing them back.
on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Do you think they'll leave them with any power in the end?
Right. Yeah.
Not really, like
And
they,
actually, the bombs that they never
so you see all of these allies like coming in closer and closer.
What did they travel by?
They had jeeps and they had like personnel carriers and they had tanks and they walked. They had airplanes. Like there was, it's such a different war than World War I. And so then at the end of the war, they split, so these different countries kind of have control over it. Hitler was he was in Germany, and I'm trying to remember, I don't remember exactly where he was. There was a place where he stayed called the Eagle's Nest, and
So when you see
but he ends up, he kills himself.
So
Because
as
he doesn't
Germany
wanna-
had treated West, so the
What's
war
that?
wasn't going well for the Allies, so that's Britain,
Well,
France,
so he
and the
commits
US.
suicide. Yeah, he commits suicide because he didn't want to deal with losing. So, yep. So, do you have down the information you need about those two battles? Okay, if we were to ask you, like the importance of Stalingrad or the importance of D-Day, would you be able to explain that to someone else? If Mr. Johnson asked you?
Yeah, so like Germany lost.
Maybe?
They were
Maybe?
forced out of
Would you be able to say where they were? Where's
Had
Stalingrad?
that happened before? Had
Which
Germany
country was
lost?
Stalingrad
No,
fought?
like, this is a big deal.
Russia, good, you got it. Who did they fight? Who did the Russians fight?
Yeah.
Germany.
Yeah.
Who won? Russia, very good. Okay, we're good.
Okay, gather your papers, and we are rotating. So go ahead and rotate. You got about 20 seconds and going.
Ooh, you're fast.
15 seconds left.
Yeah, when does it see?
That's really
10 seconds.
Oh, I gotta get backed up on this map. Ah! I don't know where it went.
Filling in with a partner over here.
Why?
I like the first station.
You have to write?
Yeah, way easier.
I don't know what happened to me. Oh, there I go.
If not, there's some.
Well, I like this station. We get to look at maps. I love maps. We get to look at one map.
You guys are working independently.
Do you have an earbud in, Marche? You're totally gonna take that out because you're so interested in what I do.
I have a
Alright, you guys are on the.
this
Take it out.
steel.
Because they were recording this for something to help other teachers see what co-teaching is like, because not every class has two teachers in it, right?
Co-teaching, yeah.
We are doing this one. Right here. And we've got the two battles. Do you want to come over to this side so you can see better, Gabby?
Yep, so you guys are on this side.
Gabby.
Come on, let's pack some more. Okay.
Yep, now you're working.
Do you want to pull it down from there? I don't want to make you sit on the
Or
floor.
there's book.
Oh, so you want to share with her how much right now me? Okay.
So you can use either one.
And Stephanie, oh, you're
And
done.
you can use
Okay.
both. Yeah.
All right.
You can use both. That would be-
Okay.
That might be.
So this is, can you guys see? Here, let me close the blind.
Happy birthday.
Yep, timers, go ahead and you can set for 17.
There's the lighting.
17 minutes, start up, set the timers.
Oh, where is that one coming from? Can you close that one back there, Greg? It's making it hard.
And go ahead and start the timers.
Okay,
Well, it's 17 minutes, right?
Yep.
all right. Can you turn to the correct page on here?
You just.
The back.
Silly goof.
It's gonna be European theater. You got it? Amber, you got it. Stephanie, you've got it? Okay. All right, so we're going to be talking about kind of like the whole start to finish European theater war, but we're gonna kind of dive into it and then focus on the Battle of Stalingrad and D-Day, or the Battle of Normandy. Okay, so this is what the map looks like at the end of after the Treaty of Versailles, right? So we look at this map. What's that? Italy, that's right. We've got Italy, France, Germany. Remember, all these countries were kind of taken out of Austria-Hungary and Germany and some of it from Russia to make these new, smaller countries. And Germany's like, I'm not following the Treaty of Versailles. I want my land back. I'm not paying my money anymore. And so, first thing, when Hitler comes to power, he creates a Nazi country. Now this area here still belongs to Germany, but this was the area where they weren't allowed to have an army in it. This is the Rhineland. So after they decide to say, no, we're not following the Treaty of Versailles, that's the first area that they send soldiers in. And that's where the French were like, we're not going to fight. And they backed up before there was really much of a fight. And so we see that fills in. Where are they going to go next? They're going to try and take back the lands that have been part of their kind of country before Treaty of Versailles. So the next area they go to, first they come down to Austria, which technically has been theirs, but you know. Next they're going to go up to this area called the Sudetenland. and that's this part of Czechoslovakia. And this was the spot where they're like, okay, you've got to stop. France and Britain, they're like, this isn't cool now. We've let you come in here, we've let you take Austria, we've let you take the Sudetenland, and now you've got to stop. And so this is the Munich Pact. And this is when we talk about appeasement, that's why they're giving Germany something to keep them at peace. So they have to give them something. Germany says, fine, we'll stop attacking, but you've got to give us something. What do they give them? You know? Land, where? The rest of Czechoslovakia.
Please don't come to other classes.
What's that? So now this whole thing is German. It's Germany. And so now they're going to keep going, right? Because the appeasement doesn't work. It doesn't keep the peace. Germany says, you guys didn't do anything to me before. I got all these lands. I'm going to keep going. So they decide, they're like, you know, this land used to be ours, and we want it back. But the problem is that we've got Russia, and Russia is not weak anymore. It's been 20 years since World War I. Their technology has improved. Their army is big. Like, they've got a ton of people. And so they're like, we don't want to fight Russia. That's going to be a bad fight. And so they make a deal with Russia. You remember that, right? And so they split. They're like, hey, you have half of Poland. It used to be yours. We'll have half of Poland. It used to be ours.
Didn't they check like the Poland people? Because, like,
No, the Polish people fought.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they fought. Especially like, it only lasted a month. But, you know, they're fighting a larger country. And they fought really hard. Oh, so here we get to see that Italy takes over Albania. And then they fight here, and they're, you know, Poland's surrounded. They didn't have much of a chance. So,
Didn't like
they made threats before. Had they followed
didn't Russia?
No, so he didn't have any reason.
Protect Poland?
yes, they're like, we'll be there, don't you worry. But yeah, so it's not, Poland is totally taken over now. And so they've got this agreement. Germany's like, we won't bother you now. And Russia's like, cool, you're not going to bother you. What you're doing now. And so now, look, Germany, this is 1939. It's been like 18 months since Hitler took control. This all happened in like 18 months. Okay, but when that happens, they broke the agreement, right? The agreement was you don't take over any more neighbors. So now France and Great Britain declare war. So, let's see what happens. Italy takes Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria. Where's, oh, so France, Germany moves their forces this direction. France is like, you're making me nervous. I'm afraid you're going to attack. You've attacked us before. I don't like you. And so they're all lined up against there. Do you think they're going to attack France right now? They have one more thing they're going to do first before they do that. And they head up, they take Denmark, and they go further north still, and they take Norway. Why are they going up so far north? What is up there? Like, did we really get involved in it up here in World War I? Okay, so why are they going up there? What do they need up there? Oil. That's exactly right. There's oil in the North Sea. Why do they need oil?
What army vehicles? Tanks.
Tanks, airplanes, jeeps. This is a different war than World War I, and they need a lot of fuel to keep it moving. The Allies, they've got the U.S. that has oil. They can get oil from them. But Germany, they're going to need to get it from somewhere. So now they're going to be able to go for it. So now, you see they start going into, just like the Schlieffen Plan almost, right? They start heading into those smaller countries, but then they go down from below. Can you get it? I can get it for you.
Yeah. I could have done that.
Thank you. Good save. Okay, here, let's see what happens. Look, you missed it, Rima. Did you see it?
I saw France.
It was fast, right? It was all of a sudden, and that was that blitzkrieg, that like lightning war, where they just plowed through super fast. Okay. So, do you think they're going to fight Russia? Marche says yes, Jordan says no. Why do you think no?
Because like they both made an agreement already.
They made an agreement. Why do you think yes?
But they obviously didn't stop at.
Yeah.
You don't think they're too much about agreements? Why might be another reason they won't fight Russia?
Because they're
Their army's kind of bigger, right? That's what, you know, we know they don't care about agreements, right? But they'll dump those. But maybe if they're afraid of getting beat.
But he basically took every.
He's taken everything know. So maybe he's like, well, where do I go now? Yeah, he's got to keep going. So he starts attacking. He starts attacking here. So since there are airplanes, he can attack Great Britain without having to really send in troops as much. Like London gets totally pummeled.
Where's Greece?
Greece, it's down south.
So you know right.
You see, they do start heading further south.
So that's.
They take Yugoslavia, they go down to Crete. All right.
I
Whoa.
thought Germany barely.
Did you see that?
I thought Germany only took didn't take that much land.
Nope, they took a lot.
They did fight Russia?
Yeah, so this is what happens. They decide and they surprise them. Like there's all of it's like war. And they just move in and they
Not partners.
What about Spain?
Keep watching. They don't ever go over here. They're kind of like it's middle of nowhere, I guess.
Oh, that's what they're doing. That's why he made East Russian.
So here they take Russia, and when they come over here to fight Russia, this totally changes the war because they're like, now they've got all this direction they can go. And so Hitler's like, I can have a global empire. I really can. I can do this. And so when they, and at first he was like, this was super easy. Like we rolled right over those Russians. And so at first when he's coming in, he's going to attack a city called Stalingrad that I think is about there. I could be wrong. But so he's going in and he's like, it's been so easy. Hitler changes the plans. He's like, instead of just going straight there, I'm going to send some up here, send some down here. More oil is down here. So of course he's going for more oil. And he's like, so only the 6th Army needs to go to Stalingrad. Well, he doesn't realize what's up. Yeah, every time he takes over more, he has Hungarian troops fighting for him, he has Polish troops fighting for him, because he's going to make them fight for him. But they're not going to be trained as well as the Nazi troops. So they're not as good at fighting. But so he's going through here, and the Russians, they get reinforcements from the Germans. And so now Germany has split off their army. They get reinforcements, and they knew what Germany was doing, and so they're able to cut this group off from the rest of the German military. And so this battle started in July of 1942. By November, they're still cut off. What's going to happen in November in Russia? What happens in November here? November, December, January? It gets cold.
So that means it's not.
Russia gets colder than here. And so you've got to remember that even in war, that matters. The weather matters. And so it gets really cold. And these German forces aren't getting reinforcements of fuel or food. And so eventually,
They die.
they start dying, they start starving, like there are thousands of them. In fact, in this whole battle, it's a 6-month battle, 800,000 German soldiers died.
You didn't think about that.
800,000. And 7 German soldiers. And 750,000 Russian soldiers died. And in this city, Stalingrad, at the beginning of the battle, there had been 150,000 citizens. And at the end of the battle, there were 1,400. They either left or been killed. But they surrendered. The Germans surrendered.
You know what? That Africa line.
Because they were surrounded, they couldn't get reinforcements, and the Russians kept coming. Because there are all these Russians over here. Russia is a huge country. Russia is a huge country. And so they keep coming, and so they surrendered. Hitler didn't want them to surrender. It was against his will. But the leader there is like, we can't do this anymore. So what do you think this does, having the Germans surrender in a battle?
So they came.
Do you think they're going to lose all their land just because they surrender at one spot?
They're like going to lose that land.
They're going to lose that land, yeah. Do you think that people will start going against him? Well, and even all the Germans here knew this battle was going on. So many of them had loved ones fighting in that battle. And so then when they lose, it's going to make them feel like, it's like if your team is the best team in the whole city, always, and then you lose a game, you're starting to, you're like, maybe we're not as good as we thought.
Yep, exactly, and that's what you saw.
And the Russians, on the other hand, are going to be like, you know what? We're pretty good, and we're big, and our technology is pretty good. So,
We watched in class, yep, I forgot it was the same one.
Hitler killed him.
yeah, and we're not quite to that point, but that is why. Okay, so on your worksheet, I'm gonna move it through some of these map parts. On your worksheet, you need to write down, okay, where was the Battle of Stalingrad fought? Who fought there? Okay, so first of all, which question is first? Is it where? Yeah, where? Where is the Battle of Stalingrad?
What?
Where is the Battle of Stalingrad? I know it's Stalingrad, but which country? Russia. Okay, so who fights in that battle? Germany and Russia, that's right.
Well, surprise, yeah, surprise attack.
Oh, sorry, that was my
And
fault.
this shows you some, though, about.
Miss, should I take this real quick? Miss, can I go answer this for how
Okay, come right back, okay?
64
Whose
sailors,
pencil broke?
5 ships with some.
I'll give you your pencil back, that way we don't have to sharpen it. Okay. Germany and Russia. Who won the war?
Russia.
Russia. Do you have this down,
Sometimes
Gabby?
that's not clear.
Who won the war?
Because Japan made the only capture.
It's right here.
You don't know.
It's all under here. Ow! Dance to yourselves.
Mr. Yourself.
Okay. All right. Why is this battle important?
I have to watch a video.
Amber.
Because
They wanted oil, so.
They lost. That's really the biggest thing is that the Germans lost this battle. And they lost so many soldiers. It was a really brutal battle. It is sad. So it was important because look how far Germany had extended east. That's the end of it. They're not going to go further east. They're going to start declining and heading back west.
So they can't like go anywhere else, Germany? Like,
Well, they're still fighting in other places. Like even when that was happening, they took the rest of France. But on the eastern front, they aren't going to go any further east.
So when they're done, what happens after all of that?
Well, here let's see what
And
happens.
Hitler died. What happens?
Well, we will talk more about that. Let's take one step at a time. Okay, so let's watch there. Okay, all this stuff is happening in North Africa. The Allies are starting to fight the Nazis in North Africa. The Nazis are going to take Italy. Watch Italy change from being Italian. Woohoo! Nazis took it over. So even though they're going to start declining in the east, they're still taking places over here. And then look at the east. Russia pushes them back, and look at all those Russian forces. Okay, now this starts happening up here where the Allied forces, America has started sending over their forces to Great Britain, and from there they're able to go bomb Russia and other Nazi countries. And so here they have planes that they didn't have in World War I with huge bombs in them, right? And they can either fight by shooting or fight by bombing. They had these big ones called flying fortresses. And then they had smaller ones that were fighter jets. And the Germans had good planes too. So, like, the Germans shot down a lot of American and British planes. Okay, see more Russia's pushing back again. They're almost to where they started. Okay, so here's my question here with what's going on up here. So Russia has started pushing back over here. They've been fighting Germany for 3 years. Now the Allies need to do something over here. They thought about coming up from the south, but what's the problem with coming up from the south?
Germany.
Well, they need to get to Germany, because that's where Hitler is, and they've got to get rid of Germany. Like, if they come up from the south, there are mountains right through here, and look at all these countries that they have to make it through. So, the problem with coming from here, look how close France is right there.
On the shores, they built big huge guns, so it was harder for them to fight all around.
Absolutely. Germany knew that this is their closest point to the Allies, and so they built all sorts of big gun nests in there. They put like obstacles on the beach so that you couldn't just bring in a carrier on to deploy soldiers and tanks and stuff. And so these beaches were really, really hard to come up against.
They bombed them.
But the Allies decided this is what we need to do. They decided to kind of group all their forces together and create one massive force, and it was led by Dwight Eisenhower. And they had 3 million soldiers come here, get ready for this battle. They're not fighting in anything yet up here. They're just working together, training, getting ready for one big battle. And Eisenhower decides, okay, we're going to go in June of '44. And he decides on one day, but then it gets rainy. So he changes it by one day, and they go June 6th, 1944. And there are 5 beaches that they go to. And so the British take 2, the Canadians take 1, and the Americans take 2. And first what they do is way like in the middle of the night. Why middle of the night? Why would they go in the middle of the night?
Because they were sleeping.
It'd be easier to attack the Germans can see as well. They send in paratroopers. And so if this is the line, the paratroopers cross the line, because in that way they can take out like the telephone lines, and they can take out, like hopefully they can get in and figure out where some of those gun nests are and take those out. And so they send in these paratroopers. Tons of them died. Because like these planes that brought them in, they found anti-aircraft fire was shooting at them, and so then the paratroopers would get dropped not in the right spots. They landed in trees, they broke their legs, but those who got through were able to help the soldiers who were going to come in. When the soldiers came in, so we had 3 beaches here. They did all right. This beach was a little bit harder, but they got it. Then there's this beach here. There's Omaha Beach. And it was super hard. In the first 10 minutes, all the officers are either killed or wounded. 10 minutes. So that's pretty much just as they're coming off the boats. They're just getting shot down.
Because they had a wall around them, so
Yeah, it's going to be hard to shoot the German soldiers. They're up in there behind a wall, and the Allies, as they're coming off the boats, they're being plowed down. But eventually,
That's after they found out all the other beaches were.
yeah, the other beaches were taken, but they still needed to get. Omaha Beach was kind of in the middle of it. And if they left the Germans there, they don't have a foothold yet. But so eventually they get it, and so they sacrificed thousands of lives to get this. Do you think it was worth it?
No. Yes.
We have yes, we have no. Why yes?
Because you'd rather have thousands of millions.
And so now that they have this, so what can they do?
No, so they can try to France.
Now they can bring soldiers over from Great Britain. Before that, they had nowhere where they could land the soldiers. Now they can. So let me show you what happens.
What does the bomb have, the big bomb?
Oh, we'll talk about that later. That's in the Pacific. This is just Europe. I'm only talking about Europe. So you see all of this happening there. Now the Allies are able to start really making a difference in France. You see Russia continues to push back further. And we'll stop right there. Okay, so it does go further from there, but you can see this is kind of the result of D-Day. Because of D-Day, they're able to push Germany back out of France. Okay, so D-Day, on your worksheet, where was it? It was in France? That's right. Where were they coming from?
How would you finish that?
Great Britain. They were coming from Great Britain into France. Who fought at D-Day?
Alright, stay with us, folks. I know you've been doing a lot of work independently.
So, not France, because France didn't have, there was the Allies, so like, the British Empire, Canada, the US. Who did they fight? Did I just get water on you? I think that was from me. I'm so sorry. No, it's, I like opened it and it like, it's water. I'm so
That
sorry.
doesn't look like water. It looks like that was by pink.
Okay, that's part of it.
No, actually,
Okay, let's finish this up. Oh man, I totally got distracted. No, it's orange flavored water. Okay, so, who won?
Who fought?
US.
Wait, who fought?
Oh, who fought? The Allies and Germany.
Well, Germany lost in the other countries.
The Allies won.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
It's just confusing.
Okay, what's confusing about it exactly?
Not really.
Who did what?
Who did what? Yeah. Why was it important?
to get the land back.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, so they needed to get that foothold so that they could bring soldiers in to get their
So
land.
like they're getting
These
their
are more just as you read,
So
especially
Hitler's
the
like
paragraphs.
Yeah, so he's getting fought from the east, fought from the
Getting
west.
ready to attack by sea.
And this is why, like, when she talks about, like, eventually he kills himself, it's because he's like, I'm losing, I can't deal with it, and he doesn't.
So he needed to take out British Air Force, otherwise
Because his whole thing was, I've got power, I'm gonna take control.
Why didn't somebody come first?
Well, there were a lot of assassination attempts, but then there were people around him that were also getting power because he had power. And so,
So he was sharing his power kind of.
How do you kill him?
He's poisoned. Well, that's what they say. But then, the soldiers, the troops, got tired of Hitler, so they decided to poison him. And then there's other things that they say that they shot himself or stabbed himself. They truly don't know what happened to him.
But in any case, it was good when he was gone.
Some say that he was fell in and just like.
No, he definitely died. They've got pictures of his dead body. They do. Yep. So, okay, so can you guys say why both of these battles were important? Why was Stalingrad important? So we've got the Eastern Front and the Western Front. Stalingrad starts to push that Eastern Front back towards Germany. D-Day starts pushing the Western Front back towards Germany. So it's like Germany expanded, and then both of those battles made Germany start to decline. Okay. Yes, it is. It's the same reason. It's just pushing different directions. D-Day gave the Allies a foothold, so they could fight back.
Wait, is this like?
Yep, we still got 10 minutes, so just getting ready.
Okay, so what was important about this? I don't know. Has it not been decided before? So when they surrender to the Russians, they feel it's strong.
And that's what
So it increases the loss there. How does the Russian military go?
what movie? Like,
They feel better.
it starts at 6.
At 6 o'clock,
So each other and the concerts are
Germany
they're gonna be here
won
for
all their lives.
Is this prior to the part of our day? And everything that
You're right, yeah. Like, probably barely solid.
Super awesome. And that would be super awesome. And that's kind of and Russia starts to
Jordan.
So Germany's confidence goes down. Okay. Do you have
This girl named Gisette. She a bad girl.
the video camera?
she's moving it around.
I know. I was following you.
Okay, do you guys want to see the map in? Do you want to see it in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I can't see.
Oh, okay. Whoa.
Yeah, look at all those Russian troops.
So they kept going?
I can't go faster.
No, I can't go too fast. Because they've got all these little things that they're doing.
It's to.
What do you think Russia's going to want when they, do you think they're going to stop just when they get their land back?
No, they gotta keep going.
They're allied with USA.
It's actually
Right.
to record.
So technically they're allies. Then,
Yep.
when does Hitler die?
I don't remember the date. I can find that out. We'll talk about it next time. I don't remember the date. You can also look that up.
Where did he die?
He died in a bunker in Germany. Because remember, all those things that we've learned about the Holocaust, a lot of those are there in Germany. And so they needed to liberate those areas.
So they're finished?
No, look. Are they done yet? Look, Norway, Denmark, part of Czechoslovakia and Austria. Oops, and then the war ends. And once it ends, then they start splitting up these areas for who's going to kind of control them. Because they don't want to give it back. You know, like the Nazi government has to be dismantled. And so they split it up between the British
They
and
were
the Americans.
supposed to kill all the Nazis.
And so then
So the
France gets the Rhineland there.
Okay,
Okay, so that's the end of that one.
Okay, is this station, I want you to make sure you're name.
Yeah, why?
In front of your paper.
What's the
Okay.
axis about?
What's that?
What's the axis about?
In a sec, and then pass it all.
The axis about?
What's the axis like about?
The exit slip. Let me find out. I couldn't hear what you said. Okay. Make sure on your worksheet first that you have your names written on your worksheet.
All right, guys, make sure
It is? Is yours written on it, Gisette?
Yeah.
Rima, your name's written? Good.
And
Yeah, go ahead and write your name on your exit slip too.
Naya.
And let me bring that up.
The papers to Robert, books to Naya.
Freeze this for a second. Oh, it's
You put up
like,
the exit.
yeah.
All right, and so everybody in this pod, send your papers to Amber. Send your papers to Amber, please. Make sure your names are on it. And you hold on to your exit slip. You can put your name on your exit slip.
Let me get it up there.
Guys, can you put your names on your exit slip? You can put your names on your exit slip. On the desk.
Hold on, I'm getting there, I'm getting there.
Get your name on your exit slip.
I don't see the exit slip.
I know, I'm getting there, I'm hurrying.
Put your name on your exit slip.
She's not grabbing my pen.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's enough.
Okay, the exit slip, we're gonna put it up here. It's also over here in green. It says, what was the impact on World War II? Pick two of these and tell me what the impact is. Why are they important? Pick two of these.
You guys
Tell
see
me
it?
what the impact is. On your paper, you can do one on one side, one on the other, however you want to do it.
So here you can talk about those battles, what
You
were
can
the
click exit
impacts?
slip.
What's that?
You can click exit slip. There you go.
That's much bigger. That's
So there you
good.
go, right up there is your question.
So you just pick two and talk about what was the impact of those. Why were they important essentially?
What was the impact of this?
It was that it
What?
was
I just did that.
You did that one over there?
our country to like lose all
It is like Japanese.
You went through a lot of information today. Yeah.
Japanese were attacking US.
So that's what happened, but you gotta say, because of that, what happened? Like how did that impact? Thank you.
Where's your pencil? I finished. Here.
Did you say I finish?
Finished.
So two. Pick two of those terms in green. Pick two of those terms in green.
Where do you put these?
If you'll stack them together, like stack yours, oh, come on. Stack yours with Rima's, with Gabby's, with Jordan's. Thank you.
Come
Are you done with yours, Amber?
Yeah, I think they lotion.
I know.
Yeah, I take the lotion tastes like shit.
So impacts are kind of things that
You got shit lotion. Is that what
what,
it's
it's what
Will
makes
you do
those
me a favor
things.
and put the books back on the desk for a second?
No, I actually have a Victorian Secret solution.
Two.
Oh my god.
Quiet, please, while people are finished. Like, no, the United States is the only country that has
It does.
That's how your hair always looks like.
Take your seats, please.
It looks like huh?
Yeah, all the time.
You done, Marche?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, in your seats, in your seats. If we want to leave on time, I need you to sit down, please.
My life falls asleep every time in class.
Take a seat, take a seat.
You want to practice it?
No, I have a choir.
You done, Julio?
All right, I have a couple questions for you before you leave. First off, First off, thanks for, a lot of you worked really hard today. I was really impressed. A lot of you guys really got at it, even though you had to be really focused on your own. And thanks for the video. We had to do that as part of our co-teaching system, and so that other teachers can learn how to do station teaching. That's so
All
nice.
students, please check TV monitors to find out if you have been selected for the pep assembly spirit relay sponsored by the yearbook staff. Based on student interest, 2 teams have been formed for each grade level. See Ms. Gerson in room 2426 if you have any questions. Thank you.
So wait a minute, so what's it, why did they want us to record it?
Yep.
Oh, it's just the teachers? Why do we need to look at the screen again?
To see if you're on the team for the pep assembly. The minute twin it thing.
I'm in this class now.
Oh, that's right, you were in this class. Why did they switch you?
They didn't want me in the English class they
So what's the
have there,
impact?
because I wasn't gonna be learning that much, because the students are really like noisy and stuff.
Okay, so I was like, that makes sense why you were saying that you already have all this. And I get played.
So that's true for anyone.
So that makes sense. Well, you should be super good on this on the test, right? No,
And I've learned it again in 9th grade.
yeah, so you're good. You're good.
Atomic bomb is at the end of World War II. So what did it get Japan to do?
Don't forget to start.
No, that was way before. Very end. Germany actually already surrendered. The United States dropped the atomic bomb, and the impact of it.
Versailles.
Causes Japan to surrender. They're like, we don't want any part of this.